Welcome to Inside Santa Cruz. I'm Joyce Anderson, and today we are dedicating this triangle that we're standing on right now at the end of Morrissey between Water and SoCal. And I want to introduce Dan Modell. He's one of our local Eastside historians. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us what's happening here today, Dan.
Well, today we are dedicating a memorial to the Eastside Library, which stood in this triangle from 1921 to 1968. It was the precursor to the Branciforte Library, which is over on Galt Street today. The library opened in 1921. It was funded with funds from Andrew Carnegie, who was opening libraries all over the country. And at this site, originally it was just going to be the downtown library, but Samuel Leask, local businessman, went directly to Andrew Carnegie and asked for additional funds. And with that money, we have the Eastside Library, what is today the Natural History Museum, which was the Seabright Library,
right,
as well as the Garfield Park Library. You know, all of these libraries during their time, you know, were beloved by the community. But here, you know, there's a lot of people that don't know that there was even a library at the site.
Right.
So about a year and a half ago, I started talking with the city, and they were so enthusiastic about the history. Leslie Keedy, David Terrazas, these folks were like, you know, go ahead with the memorial. They were all in favor of it.
Right.
You know, it really just kind of snowballed. I mean, folks have been, you know, asking me what I'm going to do next, as if, you know, I have, it was me that caused this.
Right,
this was I germinated the idea, but the community made it grow.
Yeah.
And it's really a tribute to everybody. And, you know, my hope is that, you know, years from now, folks will still remember this and appreciate it as a park too. This used to be the entry point for folks coming into the city. Before there was a highway, everybody passed through here.
Yeah.
That is why in 1910 it was given the name El Portal Park, because it was the entry point into the city.
But now it used to, then it was changed to Eastside Triangle Park.
Well, you know, that's a really good question. It really, over the years, I haven't seen anything official that called it the Eastside Triangle. It was more unofficial, but yeah, I first knew this as the Eastside Triangle, not even as a park.
Right.
When the library came down in 1968, they put a fountain here, and the fountain was frequented by homeless people. They bathed in it, they harassed passersby. The city eventually decided that they just had to let the area get overgrown, not have anything out here. Sure. Very sad, but understandable. But, you know, 20 years passed since when they did that. And I really appreciated the city's willingness to put the time and the energy into this. Is this going to be around in another 40, 50 years?
Well, we hope so. The dedication today is going to go back and rename it the El Portal Park.
Exactly.
Right? So that's what's happening.
Exactly. We will be El Portal Park. We will have a marker for the library, and, you know, hopefully folks will remember.
Well, I want to introduce, it's Leslie Keedy, and she is an urban forester. And welcome.
Thank you.
And you have done all the landscaping here on the triangle today, and also on Morrissey Boulevard, all the redevelopment going there. Tell us your job and what's going on.
So my name is Leslie Keedy, and I'm the arborist, or the urban forester, for the city. And about 2 years ago, they asked me if I'd be interested in taking over the city medians because they were in a state of deferred maintenance. During the economic times when they were low, we didn't have a lot of crew or money to do the median beautification. So I said, well, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. I know about plants and trees. So we went ahead and slowly we're getting capital improvement money and we're restoring the medians. We've done a little bit on Ocean Street in front of the Paradox Hotel near Dakota. This one is one that we've cut some bushes out of and gotten rid of some of the activities that were going on here, and now we've put our chips, we've put a maintenance path in so the vehicles could get out of traffic safely to bring in chips and plants, water, do some pruning work. So this one is one that we've worked on, Morrissey, and then we have two more coming this year that we're going to be fixing up.
Wow, busy.
That's right, yes.
But this is a lot of work here,
It
what
is.
you've done here.
Yeah.
So it looks nice, and the preparation for the dedication is really nice too.
And it's all drought-tolerant landscaping on drip irrigation, so we're being very conscientious about the resource use out here.
What are some of the best drought deterrent plants have you put in?
Well, these velvet agaves are one that we've put in. We've put in quite a bit of these around Santa Cruz in the median areas. Lantana's another one that we're using, ceanothus, and lots of different types of sages.
Right.
Yeah.
How long have you been with the city?
Well, it's going to be 15 years in December.
Really?
Yeah.
You enjoy your
I'm
job?
a veteran.
A veteran?
Yeah, I am.
Good for you.
Yes. So I just wanted to also thank my one staff person. His name is Max Wells. And Max and I are largely the people that have been responsible for doing these median improvements. We are pretty short-handed, but we're making a whole lot of headway with his creativity and my ideas as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge Max also.
Thank you.
Okay,
And thank you for
bet.
a great job.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Look who I just ran into, Dannette Shoemaker. How are you?
Very well,
I
Joyce.
know.
Thank you.
And who do you have with you here?
Today I have my granddaughter Ella and my grandson Luke.
Ah, welcome. This is a nice event today. Dannette, tell me your job with the city and what you've been doing.
I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. I've been the director for 13 years now. And my job is to oversee the parks and open spaces, recreation facilities and programs in the city.
This is quite an event today, having
There's
this.
a
taking
lot of
the-
excitement.
I know, and having the park here, so it's very, very cool.
It is very
Yeah.
cool. It's
And
been
what are some of the big things you've been doing on your, besides this?
Well, besides this has been a really exciting year for us. We had the Wharf's 100th birthday.
Right.
We kicked off the park master plan. We're in the second phase of a master plan for the Civic Auditorium.
Oh, that's right. What's
we're-
happening with that?
Well,
Not to
we're-
interrupt you, but
right, no.
everybody wants to know what's
Well,
going on there.
we're in the information gathering stage right now. We have
Okay.
some preliminary drawings what the auditorium might look like as a performing arts center.
Oh,
And we're just finishing up a Tier 2 seismic study to see if the bones of the auditorium can hold up any improvements that we hope to make.
that's awesome. That's
Very
so
exciting.
So those are three very, very big things happening.
Absolutely,
I'd like
yes.
to say everyone wants that Civic to have a new facelift, but
It
something
does.
new going on. But it's a great venue.
It is. I think everyone in Santa Cruz has a memory of the Civic Auditorium, whether it's the first ballet recital or Bob Dylan or the Santa Cruz
It's
Follies.
just the seats. Everybody just said do something different with
The
the
seats have to go. I agree.
Well, kudos to you and your job and all you do for the
Thank
city.
you.
I know I haven't seen you in a while, but I thought we were in Leadership Santa Cruz together.
no,
wasn't that-
I didn't get to do that program.
No,
but
maybe someday.
yeah, yeah.
You don't need
I'm
it
sure our
now.
paths will cross again, though. So thank you for
Yeah,
being
thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet both of you.
You too.
Have fun today.
Thank
Bye.
The Eastside Library was built here on this site in 1921. It was a Carnegie library. The Carnegie family donated money to make that library possible. But then in 1968, that library was demolished because we had our new Branciforte library. And so people in this neighborhood said, let's have a park here. And we had the Triangle Park, forgetting for a moment what the history of this site was. So now we're going to rectify that. And so over the years, the city has made improvements to this park, and I want to thank especially Leslie Keedy, who has worked with who's our city forester, to make improvements to this park, along with all the other staff at our Parks and Recreation Department. There's Dannette Shoemaker, our Director of Parks and Recreation, here today, and we're so happy she's here. And then from there, it went to our Parks Commission to make more, to approve the renaming, and it went to the City Council. And by the way, I want to introduce my colleagues from the City Council here: Pamela Comstock, David Terrasas, Cynthia Matthews, and our City Manager, Martine Bernal, and our Acting Director of the Library, Janice O'Driscoll. So welcome to all of you. Oh, who did I miss? Oh, hi, Cynthia Chase, another colleague. I couldn't see her. She's not wearing her tall shoes today, so. Oh, okay. Anyway, the thing that just as I hand over the microphone to the next speaker, I just want to acknowledge his work. Dan Modell has done an amazing job. And I think by that applause, I can tell he's engaged all of you. So it isn't all Dan. Dan's the leader, but a lot of other folks supported his work. But really, it's such a gift to the city when someone just as a volunteer takes time, he has an idea and sees an opportunity and puts in hours and hours and years to make something happen. And really, then we get to celebrate it a day like this. The work, this work coming to fruition. So it's my honor and pleasure to introduce the hero of the day, Dan Waddell.
Thank you, Mayor Lane, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to be part of this big moment. For 47 years, the Eastside Library was a huge part of the Eastside Santa Cruz community, and I kind of took it upon myself to right the wrong of history, that after 47 years since its fall, that we finally get around to giving it its due. They say it takes a whole village to raise a child, and I don't know about that, but it definitely takes a whole community to save a park and raise a historic marker. And I wish I had time to give credit to everybody who made this moment possible. I do want to recognize a few important people. Leslie Keedy and David Terrazas, who really encouraged me to begin this project. My wife Amy, who really supported me through the whole thing. My neighbors, Judy, Nancy, Robert, Michael, and Karen, who sat with me through some very long commission meetings to voice their support for the project, as well as the many financial contributors who donated for the history marker. Amongst them, Howard Eddy. Thank you, Howard, and thank you everybody who donated for the marker. When I started this project, some of my neighbors were referring to this as my park. Well, the sympathy, it's appreciated, but this is not my park. This is El Portal Park. This is the community's park and the community's historical marker, and I hope they will enjoy them for years to come.
Thanks, Dan. And I can tell you that we were also part of those long commission meetings when he presented. And on behalf of the library board, I want to thank Dan for his perseverance to make this possible. It's been about 2 years of work and coordination with different community groups, and I'm really proud to see this come to its fruition today. I'm here and have the distinct pleasure to introduce former librarian and head of this branch to its end, Miss Orlando, who's here with her daughters, who are both librarians with our system now. She mentioned before we started that one of the reasons why they became librarians because they were able to volunteer here as part of the library system, and I'm really thankful that she's here to be a part of this recognition today. This is really one of the sites of one of the 4 Carnegie libraries that exist in the city. 2 are here, two remain. One is the Natural History Museum, and the other, the Garfield Park Library, that just celebrated its centennial. So I think it's an honor to be here to recognize the past and also to look forward to the future of how we kind of remember these points of important interest here in the city, and hear from someone who, one, guided the library, and hopefully will kind of honor us with a brief story if she'd like to tell us. So, Ms. Orlando, if you please come forward.
Well, it's been a long time since this library was here. But I remember the librarians that used to work here, besides myself. Everybody had very definite characteristics, and we appreciated it all. I remember Miss May. She was a tall, imposing woman, and I was a little bit afraid of her. And when she would come sailing into the main library to pick up her books for the week, and she would always say in a big booming voice, "And how's the madam and the girls?" We were an all-female crew. And it was a little disconcerting because I was sure that could be heard for miles. Because when I first went to work here in this particular library, there was no telephone. And there was no 911 either. So when the librarians, including myself, needed help or were uncomfortable with something, which included turning on or starting the fireplace, or because we were unhappy with the patron, we would, well, maybe I better start back a little bit. First of all, we made a pact with the service station owner who had a service station right there where Burger King is now. And when we were uncomfortable or needed some help, we would take a white towel and put it out on the banister. And he would come over and fix whatever it was that needed to be fixed. So anyway, it was a real pleasure working at this library. It was a neighborhood library. You got acquainted with everyone. Some of the children are here. They still remember. My own daughters didn't remember the actual building, but they remembered the water fountain that was right here in the middle. And they tell me that they would come over from Branciforte School, walk through, play in the pool, and then go over to the library. And where I would put them to work volunteering. So now they're librarians too. All right.
So now we would like to invite our special guest, and Dan, you're going to come up too, and let's cut this ribbon. There you go. All right.
This is heavy.
There you go. Thank you all for coming. Come on up and take a closer look and enjoy the company of your neighbors. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Let's also thank Tom Ralston for his work on making this possible.
Thank you. Isn't it beautiful? It's been a long time coming. Wow. And anti-graffiti coating. And these can be replaced if they get damaged in any way. So we're going to be here for a long time.
I just ran into an old friend, and you are?
I'm Sharon Stockton Pini. I'm a native Santa Cruzan and a native Eastsider. And my grandparents owned a grocery store on the corner of Soquel and Trevethan Avenue, which is now a Subway.
Yeah.
They also lived in the first house over here on Darwin Street. They bought it when my mother was born, it was 73 years then. And the floor in that house happens to be the floorboards from the old cement boat down in, that's been docked for years. It used to be a big party boat that they docked down there, and they had a big dance floor, and that's what's in my grandma and grandpa's house.
I mean, that's pretty interesting, actually.
Oh, it is. A lot of interesting things. The library here, my grandmother would bring me once a week. I had to read a book once a week from the library. She read a book once a week, and that was a thing that we did. And lots of memories here. We really didn't have this kind of traffic back then.
I don't think so.
We had one car, and it was in the driveway. There was no cars on the streets.
I
and
know.
believe
Look
me,
how it is now. And also where the gym is, that used to be a lumber company.
yeah, my grandfather, before he had the grocery store, worked at the lumber company. That was before I was born. But they bought the store in 1939, and Dan had found a picture of my grandparents standing in front of the store, and it was really great. He's done a wonderful job, and I'd like to thank him very much for all the work he's done.
Yeah.
This has been a really, really fun, wonderful day. And
Well, I'm so glad I ran into you because I didn't know you had all that history. So thanks for sharing.
you're very welcome, and thank you very much.
So Dan, And tell us about, this is a great monument piece,
Thank
so
you.
tell us what's said on here.
Well, what it says is that this was the site of one of 4 branches of the Santa Cruz library system built from 1903 to 1921. The building was funded in part through a grant from businessman and philanthropist Andrew Carnegie, though I should note that an additional $1,500 was raised by the local community. The building, a craftsman-style bungalow, was designed by noted architect William H. Weeks, who was the architect of a number of buildings around town, from Brent's 40 Elementary to the Palomar Hotel. In the 1960s, traffic and parking concerns made it difficult to access the building. It also, was 870 square feet, and you really needed something bigger to house all the books. So they decided to knock the building down here and build the Brent's 40 Library over on Galt Street, which opened in 1967.
Well, I want to introduce Rick Martinez, who's keeping us all safe today here at the park.
Giving it a good try. It's a rough crowd.
Right. And Joyce Blasky, I want to introduce her. She's the new public relations officer for the city of Santa Cruz. That's correct?
Correct.
And your correct title now, Rick, is?
Deputy Chief of Police.
Okay.
City of Santa Cruz.
I know, it's so good to see you here. What a great event. And also everyone here on the east side, it's always that we're here and you're keeping us safe.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful day to be out in our neighborhood with the city neighborhood block parties. The neighborhoods are alive today. It's nice to see everybody out for this event as well.
Well, I see your name in the paper a lot, discussing different things that are going on. So it's welcome to our community. It's nice to have a female on the force doing a job.
Yes, out there spreading the good word.
And her name is Joyce. I like that name too a lot.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah.
And thanks for covering the activation of this open space here.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. And like I said, we've talked to somebody who used to live around here, and the grandparents lived around the corner. She said that they didn't have that many cars 50 years ago.
No. I think you can definitely see that today.
Right.
But the activation of this space, I think, is important for the East Side neighbors. The collaboration that went into making this happen is incredible. And then, of course, the partnership with Tom Ralston and the city of Santa Cruz.
I know.
And putting together this
is pretty
this lovely
amazing.
plaque
Isn't
and
that
with
amazing?
the historical photos.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible. Tom Ralston, I mean, geez.
Just amazing job. They did an amazing job.
Yeah, wonderful neighborhood effort to bring this into visualization.
Good to see you both
Great
here.
to see you, and thank you for telling the story.
Yeah.
All right, Joyce, take care.
Well, Dan, there's so many really interesting landmarks here on the east side, but tell us about the pillars on Morrissey Avenue on Melrose.
Well, the pillars at the corner of Morrissey and Melrose are really interesting, and they're so eye-catching. Folks driving by, they see them. I've had a lot of people ask me about those. And those pillars were actually placed there in 1907 as part of the original La Viega Park tract. They had a electric light on the top of them too. You'll see them both at Morrissey and Melrose, as well as Hammond and Melrose, but when they were put out, they were supposedly going to be at every street corner, and that certainly would have been eye-catching. But even just the fact that we have them now is enough to make me happy.
I know. Well, what are some of the other locations? You want to tell the viewers about some of the pieces?
The piece I have here.
Yeah.
Well, the picture I have here was taken around 1910, 1915, and it's actually of girls playing on the edges of this park. It's still pretty overgrown, but one of the interesting things is right in the middle of the picture is a mission bell. And the mission bells, which are all over California now, were actually placed by early auto enthusiasts all around California to encourage people to travel from mission to mission to see them. It's not here today, but it is really neat to know that we once had a mission bell here in this park.
So if anybody knows where the mission bell is, let us know.
Well, there's a
it's
couple.
disappeared.
There's a couple of them here in town. There's one down down SoCal across from the hindquarter. There's one over at the replica of the original mission. So there are a couple, but the one that was here, yes, I would love to know its whereabouts. Please call me.
And show us, talk about the next photo.
There's a couple of different ones here of Morrissey in the 50s. And again, I believe, when was that? That was also in the 50s, but they look quite different. Morrissey is really interesting. I love these pictures because it shows the median down the middle. And a lot of people don't know there were actually trolleys going up Morrissey. The La Viega Park branch of the trolley system took people up to the corner of Morrissey and Pacheco, where another trolley would take them up to De La Viega Park and the zoo that was there at the time. So yeah, that's a big part of local history.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that we had a zoo up there.
A lot of people didn't, but there's pictures. This is of Andrew Carnegie. The first Carnegie Library in Santa Cruz was the downtown branch. We got the money for that first. And then Andrew Carnegie came to Santa Cruz to check it out. The details are a little hazy, but he was approached by Samuel Leask, local businessman. Samuel Leask wanted additional money for additional libraries. And Carnegie was supposedly so taken with him because they were both Scotsmen that he gave him another $9,000, which became the Garfield Park Library, the Seabright Library, and the Eastside.
So, oh, that's a great picture. That's actually a photo. Nice.
Yeah, he came here to Santa Cruz.
Excuse me. Oh,
and the one other one I wanted to share was there was a clown on local television in the 60s and 70s by the name of Hocus Pocus. Everybody remembers him who was here around that time. But what a lot of people don't know is the building that is today the Oka Center, for a short time, was when it was called the Group W building, was actually where Hocus Pocus filmed his shows.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. So he is part. I mean, there's so many nuggets of history that if you just scratch, you can find them. It's awesome.
Well, Dan, I want to thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's been so much a wonderful day. And Andrew Carnegie for his gift to the community who knew that there was a library here, and I hope a lot of people will be aware of that. But you've done such a great job to bring awareness, and of course now Eastside is just so proud of all the things, and you made it very memorable for all of us.
Well, hopefully we are all that much more proud of where we live.
Right.
That's what this is all about.
Well, thank you for watching Inside Santa Cruz, and this is another great event. So until next time, bye now.